Hi, Neal here, Artistic Director and Conductor of your Dayton Philharmonic, with a little bit of music by Mozart from Don Giovanni, except it's not. That's actually music from another opera, the opera called Una cosa rara, a rare thing, by Mozart's contemporary, the composer Vicente Martin. Very popular at the time Mozart wrote Don Giovanni. Maybe one of the first cases of sampling in the modern hip-hop sort of sense. Mozart using music by another composer, and we'll see why in a minute. But we turn the page, that's from the beginning of the finale of Act 2 of Mozart's Don Giovanni, and this is on my mind and on the music stand because I'm getting ready for Dayton Opera's production of Don Giovanni, which will be coming up very, very soon, towards the end of February, our first live opera performance in the Schuster Center in like more than a year, practically. That's a scary thought. Anyway, so that was a little bit of Mozart quoting this other composer, one of his other operas, in a Mozart opera. Okay, fine. You turn the page. Now here's the situation. It's the beginning of the finale of Act 2. Don Giovanni, Don Juan, if you prefer. It's a long story, but he's invited the ghost, I guess it is, of a man he murders in the very beginning of the opera to come to dinner. And it's like, the ghost's not going to come to dinner. Of course, the ghost does come to dinner. Anyway, Don Giovanni's sitting at the table. He's having this big feast by himself, and there's music being played by, the musicians in he's a nobleman. He's got musicians who work for him. They play music to keep him entertained. And at the beginning of the banquet, they play that little bit of music from Cosa Rara by Mr. Martin. And you turn the page, and maybe Don Giovanni has already gotten bored with that music, and we hear suddenly another kind of music popping up, and it sounds like this. Also not by Mozart. That's by a composer named Giuseppe, I have to look it up, I always forget, Giuseppe Sarti, from an opera of Sarti's called Fra I due litigente, and my Italian's all screwed up today. How do you translate that? It's kind of like the two litigants, the two people in a dispute. Very popular opera of the time, probably even more popular than some of Mozart's operas. Okay, so he samples one opera tune that everybody knew. You turn the page, the band plays a different opera tune by another composer of the time that everybody in the audience would know. And then you turn the page a third time, and he does it again because the band has played the snippet of one song, they play the snippet of the other. Still, Don Giovanni isn't very impressed. And then they try something else. Finally, it's by Mozart, because that's Mozart quoting himself. That is the tune, sort of, with my mistakes, Non più andrai, the big hit of Mozart's previous opera, The Marriage of Figaro, which everyone in the city of Prague, the city he wrote Don Giovanni for, would have known that piece, because it was the big hit. So what's going on? Why is Mozart quoting these things? Well, it's a joke, but it's also something fun and really interesting and gives you a sense of just what a special piece Don Giovanni is and what a special person Mozart was. So the band at the banquet plays these three tunes. Now what's important is not so much the gag of Mozart sampling these other composers and then sampling himself, but the reaction. So the music comes in from Una cosa rara, and the tune goes, and right after the piece begins, Leporello, Don Giovanni's servant, reacts. He says, bravi, cosa rara. Oh, great, cosa rara. So Leporello has recognized the tune and likes it and is saying, yeah, nice choice, guys. Don Giovanni has nothing to say. He doesn't care what they're playing. Next tune comes in. Dum, bum, bum, again, Leporello responds. He says, E viva i litiganti. Hey, hooray for the litigants. He recognizes that tune. He likes that tune. He's got something to say about it. Then the third one comes in. The Mozart comes in. And he says, Questa poi la conosco purtroppo. That one I've heard too much. So he likes the first two by Martin and by, what was his name? See, not Mozart, by Sarti. Leporello likes those two operas, but the Mozart one, heard that one too much. So Leporello, again, he's getting all the funny lines. But the thing that I think is most interesting about this whole sequence is that it's Leporello, it's the servant who recognizes the tunes and who clearly is an opera fan. Don Giovanni, the nobleman, he could care less about opera. So Mozart was saying something kind of interesting there. First of all, he's saying opera, at least at his time, is the music of the masses, and Mozart is of the masses too. And Leporello, who's kind of Mozart's stand-in there, you know, he likes the operas and he responds to them and he follows them. And Mozart is saying, hey, buddy, you're with me. And it's a really kind of nice touch, and it shows Mozart, who of course depended on noblemen and also on the church for his wherewithal. That's where all his commissions came from for almost everything that Mozart wrote. He still has his sympathies with the common people and with the servants as opposed to with the masters. It's just a tiny little thing that zips right by, and you know, honestly, lots of audiences today, they don't recognize the tune, so they don't quite get the joke. In Mozart's time, the audience really would have been laughing quite a bit at this, especially the punchline when he says, oh, that tune, I've heard that one too much. Mozart dissing Mozart. Wonderful example of Mozart's humor. We'll have more Don Giovanni next week on, I'm already planning it, on the next Piano Bench Chat, another really cool thing that goes on in Don Giovanni. It's kind of all Don Giovanni for me for the next couple of weeks, so I hope you don't mind either. Anyway, thanks for joining me for this Piano Bench Chat. Stay safe, stay sane, stay with us, and I'll see you next week for another Piano Bench Chat and more Don Giovanni.
Questa poi la conosco purtroppo.